versus this side. You can see how quickly, and we got a little bit of a seam right here. I'll show y'all how we would knock this down. You see that is much smoother versus there are definitely little snags and ridges and edges that are going to be on this raw glass. I know y'all don't need to see all that, but that is an important step. We're going to sand all that down. We're going to get ready to gel coat the underside of this before we glue it down on the bow deck. And we've actually been fabricating some little braces that go underneath that. I'll be showing you guys that in a minute. We're all done with the sanding. Look how nice that looks. Got all these edges trimmed, put a little nice little smooth edge on them, and you can see the grinder marks. We knocked all that down. Of course, I've already blown that off with some compressed air. But, that took about 20-30 minutes. Grinding is a nasty job. It's not fun. Tyvek suit, respirator for sure, some fans moving along, and a good open space. You don't want any of that dust anywhere where you're ever going to sit or anything you're going to be on. But I wanted to show y'all in addition, decided to beef this up a little bit up front, and I took 3 layers of the 3/4 Kusa. I don't know if y'all can see, there's 3 layers there, and they're laminated all together. I actually glassed that with 1 layer of the 1708 biaxial, 1 layer of matte, kind of all encapsulated, and it's screwed completely through from either side, and I used resin to glue that together, and that's going to span across this bow. That's going to kind of give this bow deck some support about midway through, because up here we'll kind of have that wall where the anchor locker is, and then this will be about midway. And I also added a doubler right here. That is, we got the 1 original layer of the Kusa on the outside, and then I've put 2 layers. This has also just been screwed all the way through and then resin coated. Put a nice bevel on that edge, and that's gonna really beef up this edge here, because we're gonna have to cut out a pretty big chunk of that for the hatch, and that's not gonna leave a whole lot of material there. So I decided to go ahead and triple that up. That'll be screwed all the way through. These are these cross braces. We use the high strength filler. We've puttied everything in, glued and screwed, and we got this cross brace tabbed in. Got some glass kicking off so that tomorrow we will be ready to move forward. We'll have to wait on that glass to cure. You can see we've got everything kind of puttied in and fiberglassed, and man, it is rock solid. I mean, that really beefed up that front. But what we're doing this morning is we're actually going around and we've taken the gunnel caps off, and that's exposing the 2 layers of 3/4 cord that we built up these gunnels with. And we're working our way all the way back here to the rear deck. We're fixing to pull these panels off, and what we're going to be doing today is removing these and getting ready to bond them underneath. We're going to use some of the 3M, the high strength putty underneath, and we're going to actually machine screw through those. Perfect weather for that, and I kind of need to do that before I can get the bow deck finished up anyway. So that's going to be the chore for the day. Going to be pretty interesting, because you could actually do this on a rolled gunnel boat. Like if you had a Kenner, for example, like my charter boat here in the back, you could theoretically build up the gunnel on it and put a finished cap on if that was something you want to make the boat a little more finished. But I'm going to show you all the process. It's going to be pretty cool. We have removed all those pieces earlier. You saw all the layers that we were using to build up, and now we have actually primed. You can see the different coloration. We've put a fresh coat of resin after cleaning it thoroughly, and we've also primed the underside of all of our pieces of Kusa, and that's the first layer there. That's going to go down there. We've got our screw holes lined up, and we're using, again, some more of the high strength, the 3M, the high strength repair filler, the 46014, and we're going to be mixing that up with a catalyst on there, and we're going to be using a little notched trowel to put down a real thin layer of that adhesive. You also have mixed up a batch of the high strength putty, and I'm going to show you all the actual process that we're doing here. So what I'm doing is just using a little squeegee blade and applying this First off, I'm just gonna get the material on there. Coming on around the corner here. Looking good. All right, now I'm gonna work my way back up and just kind of spread it around a little bit. It doesn't have to be perfect because we are going to be using a trowel, a notch trowel, but y'all might enjoy seeing this. This would be a good way if you've got a rolled gunnel boat. Again, like the Kenner that I have, you could theoretically raise the gunnels up like we're doing on this boat. Make it look a little more finished. All right. Looks pretty good. Now we're going to do the notch trial. Let's see, here we go. We've got our little notches on there. I think those are about 1/8 of an inch or so. Over here behind it, Logan, you can see how nice. There's some extra material accumulating. That's okay. I'm just going to push it right around. We'll use that in a little bit for. Sometimes the best thing to do is just pick it up. Move it around a little bit. You want enough on there, but you don't want too much. All right, show that, Logan. That looks pretty good there. It's a little okay. It's okay if you got a little excess squeezing off the sides. What I'll do is come along with the blade here and pick some of that up, and we will be using some of this extra material in a minute. Once we have the piece stuck on there, I'll come back and fill some of these corners a little bit. All right, so just keep on video in there. Logan, what we're doing is, here's my piece. Go ahead and preload it with a couple of screws. And one thing you got to do when you ran over it with a notch trowel is you got to clear the holes. I'm just using a little screwdriver here. That one, there it is. Hey, hey. Hey, hey, hey. All right. And I'm going to line these two up. Now this is our pre-resin primed piece. It's already been pre-fit and cut and all that good stuff. Sometimes getting it started initially can be a little tricky. I'm gonna go get a couple more screws and a hammer. A hammer helps. See, just like that. And we're tapping these in there pretty firmly. They're gonna countersink. So what we've got, we're using a little Craftsman impact driver, and that is a 10mm screw. We're gonna screw that till it draws that down in there pretty good. Center this one on, and again, Logan has been helping me, so I look a little less professional here because my good helper is now the cameraman. But I wanted to show this to you guys. I know sometimes we don't get to show all the steps because it does require all hands on deck. And yeah, I like that pretty good. That one tried to strip out a little bit. You can see the material squeezing. And what we want is we do want the screw to go all the way through the lock nut so that it actually locks. All right. So then we've got some excess, because when you do this, you're inevitably going to have some excess, but this is that really good 3M high strength filler. Come over here and kind of angle around on this side, Logan. What I'm doing is I'm going to use that excess to just fill that remaining gap. All right, so look at there. Y'all, there's the close-up. You can see we got it all the way in. That took about 5 or 10 minutes or so to do that. Pretty happy with it. We've also added some bricks up here, add a little more clamping pressure. Always good to have an assortment of bricks on the boat. There's kind of an overview of things. We are adding a second layer to our gunnels. So we videoed earlier, you know, we built up one layer. Today we're going to be building up the second layer, but we're not going to be putting the putty underneath the second layer like we did the first. We're just using some resin that's going to be catalyzed. I'll show y'all a little trick if you haven't seen this before. This roller, you can use a piece of tape and it helps get a lot of those little loose fibers off of there. Kind of makes for a cleaner job. We've got some resin we just poured. I'm going to mix up this catalyst. Y'all can see I like to use catalyst with some dye. That's actually a pretty big batch. I'm going to have to hurry. That's a pretty good bit, and I mixed it pretty hot. So what we're going to do, y'all, we are going to be mixing this up and we're going to be loading this roller. And I apologize, y'all, if I'm a little bit froggy. I've been under the weather for the last few days. We're going to hit one good coat on the bottom side, the piece that we're going to bond. We've already primed both of these pieces too. So this is Kusa that's been pre-primed, pre-drilled. Load this roller up again. Go ahead and we're gonna hit all these surfaces. Want to butter it up. Plenty of resin on there. This is gonna be the glue, but we are gonna glue and screw this thing. Y'all know me, I kind of never rely purely on one or the other with boat stuff especially, man. You're gonna want to always be, we're using some little 1¼ inch stainless steel screws. We've already pre-drilled or pilot drilled, so we know everything's gonna go right back where it's supposed to go. You don't have to tighten these down terribly tight. If you do, they'll just strip anyway. So no point in running them down there super. See that one, y'all, is not hitting anything. So I'm gonna come back and we'll run another screw in. That one hit something. That's what we want. That one hit something. That's all you want, is a little bit of tension there. Doesn't have to be anything super crazy. All right, y'all, that is the process. We're gonna be going around this boat, zipping those on, and I'll be showing y'all as we move along how she looks. Whew. All right, y'all, so we are all done. That took a couple hours, actually, all start to finish. And I actually came back and I brushed a coat of resin on this as kind of as a primer coat just to seal it. And it's kind of the overview up tight there, and then looking around the edges. Again, we've kind of just coated this with one coat of resin just to seal it up a little bit. Get ready for the bow decks going up here, and then you got your gunnel pieces. But we also want to always seal this Kusa whenever we can. How much room is in this beast? Got the splash basin for the boat, and we are glassing the bottom side of this thing. Thought I would show you guys. Today's been a little bit of a blur. We've been getting a lot done. I've obviously already applied one layer of 1708 and let it kind of lap over the edges just a little bit, and using the little nylon bubble buster roller to work out some of those bubbles before we get ready to put down our second layer. This is going to be a lot easier for us to glass now, where we can turn it upside down, because this is going to be hard to get to once it's installed. So thought I would show y'all this process. Sometimes it is easier, if you can, to glass stuff kind of as a unit independently of all the other stuff, and then we'll assemble it and we'll kind of glass the edges. There, Logan, you see we've rolled that corner really nice. Got everything all stuck down. All right, I'm fixing to go get the other. Just hang tight there, Logan. We're gonna get this one or that one. Got another piece. This one's slightly wider in both dimensions. And what we're doing here is we're just going to place it right over this piece. We're going to try to center it up best we can. Got about 3 inches hanging over. Maybe that way just a smidge. We got a little overhang, that'll work. It's hanging over the back, lapping a little bit. So, get our trusty scissors here. Y'all can see that's a little bit longer. You can see how much we're lapping, about 1 inch or so. And I'm gonna trim a little bit of this corner off here and kind of follow the general contour. Same deal to this side. I can kind of see where the contour is. Just gonna kind of walk it. We're trying to get this done tonight. It is well after what normal folks would consider quitting time. We are trying to get everything done that we can because time is flying by and I got a fishing season approaching. So y'all, we're doing kind of what we normally do. We're kind of pulling that back. I've already obviously saturated this, but I'm gonna kind of double saturate this, give it a little more resin, fold this over back into itself. Same deal here. A little heavy on the resin. This needs to be crazy strong. This basin here has got a lot of the load of the transom, and the engine is going to be pushing into this piece. All right, y'all, and you guys know the drill. We are just getting some resin on the widest parts, and then we will be letting that soak in a little bit, and we'll work those corners. All right, y'all, there it is. It's the next morning. We got all the fiberglass done and rolled out. I know y'all have seen me do glass work before, but I thought I would show you. We ended up putting about 2 layers of 1708 biaxial and overlapping on every joint. And then we got a bunch of rough stuff here that needs to be knocked down. We're gonna use the little Hitachi high-speed grinder. And of course we got our fan set up. But we contoured and softened all those edges, kind of went over everything. And I had some pilot holes in here for the piece underneath that I went ahead and opened those up. But that looks a lot better. We got all those rough edges and kind of beveled everything off and smoothed it all out. So we're getting ready to do some gel coating, y'all. Got the bow deck all prepped, sanded, kind of everything as it should be. We just put a little bit of resin around the edges this morning so that when we bond that in, those edges of Kusa will be prime. But here we go with the first gel coat. That's a light gray. We're gonna mix in a little bit of this, the wax solution, the modifier C. This gel coat does not have any in it. I'm gonna give that a pretty good splash. I know that's not super technical there, but several capfuls, usually with a pan, is gonna be enough. And you want to mix that in really thoroughly. That's going to keep that gel coat from being tacky. Now y'all, I generally like to mix the wax in before I put the catalyst in. That gives you a little more time to mix it. Now you can buy gel coat with wax already added. I tend to prefer
fine gel coat where you add that, because sometimes you want to do 2 coats and you want 1 coat without wax and then the second coat would have the wax. If you put the wax in the first coat, it's going to cause adhesion problems. The second coat's not going to want to stick as aggressively. So I'm just going to mix that in really, really thoroughly, almost as if you're mixing catalyst. You kind of want to go around and around and around the edge. Matter of fact, I may even add a little splash more. Really won't hurt. And one little trick you can do, this morning it was a little bit cool, and when I opened the can to my modifier C, the wax was kind of congealed and thick. You could actually see it. The liquid was not clear. If you look in there now, you can see that is a gin clear liquid. And what I did is I just used my heat gun to warm that up, and that helped that wax to melt into, I believe the base is probably styrene, or styrene monomer is what they're using as the base, or maybe MEK. Got 1 good coat of gel coat. We left this unpainted in some little strips because that's where it's going to be bonding up to the bow deck. Heck yeah, that looks pretty good. And I'm going to walk y'all on over. Actually, I got a little overzealous in my gel coat mixing, and you hate to waste that stuff because it is quite expensive. And we've been prepping up underneath the bow compartment, and was able to go ahead and get 1 coat on there as well. We're going to do 2 coats on the bottom side, just 1 on the top, because that's a pretty simple profile. All right, y'all, check it out. We're going to get ready to stick in our splash well, and I've got it kind of sitting up. We glassed these knee braces in, put three layers of biaxial glass right down there in the corners, and then last night we took a die grinder and cut out a little divot and drilled our drain plugs. So we got the holes through the transom kind of notched out. Got a bunch of pieces of glass pre-cut for everything, kind of all up around underneath here. Got these all resin coated, and we're going to use some of the 3M high strength repair filler. And what we're going to do, y'all, is we're going to just go kind of on these edges, and we're going to kind of what I call butter them up. We're going to just put like a little bit of this putty all the way around the edges and then set it down into place. And I've actually already pre-drilled. We've got some countersunk holes for some big stainless steel screws. So that's kind of the next move. We have kind of buttered up these edges. You can see the material that's kind of squeezing out. And what I'm doing is just running these screws in a little bit on both sides, just get kind of started. We've pre-drilled these things, but before I sync any one up, you kind of get them all started, and that keeps this thing from running away from us. Making sure it's where it's supposed to be, and I'm fixing to sync them up a little bit now, just kind of a little bit. And then I'm gonna jump to the other side. And now we will sync everything up nice and solid. All right, now we'll try to go around there and tool that. Sorry we didn't get any video of that while we were doing it, y'all. It's a little bit tricky sometimes, but I'm just going to come in here, a little flake of dry material. We'll come in here now that we've got it in place, and going to tool that. You can see this gap here where now we got it nice and tight, got some filler in there. We may come back and do another pass, but man, that just makes it incredibly strong. Check it out, y'all. We got all the glass work done there around that splash well. That took the better part of the day. We did 3 layers of biaxial cloth in every, and we started with like a 4-inch wide, a 6-inch wide, and an 8-inch wide. So you had really nice overlap. And then I finished all that in one layer of matte. And actually tomorrow we're gonna go up in there and I'm gonna kind of radius those corners a little bit so that when we're washing this compartment back here. But all of that in that compartment and then all up underneath there, that ought to make that transom ballistically strong. Now it's almost 8 o'clock, it's well after dark. And a lot of times I try to do my grinding at night. So we got this front end here. We were working on that all of last week, but you know, she's permanently stuck down, and I actually kind of came in and we had filled some of these corners, and I came with a grinder and kind of knocked down all the loose stuff. The same deal tomorrow. I'm actually gonna come in here and we're gonna soften those hard corners so that it's easier to wash and clean the boat. And we're gonna actually get ready to be glassing all of this front end. Woo! We got her all done, y'all. Finally, the bow deck is glassed. You can see back behind me. There she is. We got everything wrapped up, tied into the hull sides. What we did is we did one layer right here on the flat surfaces, and then we doubled up back and forth, transitioned down onto the floor, out onto the hull sides. It is really, I mean, like, nice. I mean, it is stout, y'all. It is solid. But that is probably going to be it for this episode. It's already going to be a long episode as it is, but y'all know how much we appreciate you guys. The channel is growing every day, and it's all because of y'all. If you're enjoying the content, though, share it. Tell a friend. Like. Subscribe. Totally free to subscribe. It helps us grow, and we want to do more of this kind of stuff, and by doing that on y'all's end, you can help us do more. Y'all know it's Captain Joe here with Island Marine Charters and Fish Bump TV here on YouTube down in Gulf Shores, Alabama. And as always, we will catch y'all next time out.